So let's jump to this. The main
Okay.
the main thing we wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Exclusive. President Trump threatens federal action in violent Democrat-run cities. Town Hall says during an exclusive interview with Town Hall from the White House Tuesday, President Trump warned his administration will take action if Democratic mayors and governors can't get crime under control. They are cities run by liberal Democrats. We're now looking at having to do something. We have to be asked to go into a city like Chicago, which is so ridiculous, where they had like 68 shootings and 18 deaths over the weekend. It's not even comprehensible. Worse than Afghanistan. Worse than any war zone. Nightmarish? Can you check off your bingo cards now for Tim Pool saying the word nightmare,
Yes.
dystopia?
I have it. Yep, on the right.
There you go.
Checked.
Done.
There it is. There
Got
it is. We're supposed to be asked. She is supposed to call the mayor, Lightfoot, Lori. She's supposed to call and say, we need your help. We call her. Would you like to have us come in? And they don't want us. And I say, what's going on? During the interview, Trump said police in cities like Chicago and New York City aren't allowed to do their jobs and are terrified of legal action. We are going to have to do something very comprehensive. It means sending people in. It means sending people in to clean up. There's a point at which we're allowed to go in, and that point is rapidly being reached. There's a point at which we will have to do it because we just have to do it for the good of the country. When asked about what threshold must be met before federal action is taken, the president said carnage and death is his standard. I'm pretty sure we're past that.
Chicago's. It's funny because Chicago was the most dangerous city in America for a while, and then it started to get a little bit better for a little bit there for a couple years, and man, is it a war zone again?
It's getting worse,
and it's getting worse. And this makes a good point. Like the cops aren't allowed to do their job for fear, and they're terrified of legal action. I watched a video of NYPD training of what they have to go through, and they are now not allowed to do most non-lethal tactics anymore, like leaning on their chest, leaning on their back, sitting on them. Like I get the you don't want people to kill anybody, but they're now riding between not doing anything and the only means, which is pulling their gun when they're in fear of their life, which is the last thing I want. I don't want people pulling guns. I don't want them to have to use lethal force.
I think Crowder was talking about this, like the use of chokeholds is a less lethal tactic for de-escalation.
Didn't he choke out one of his?
Yes, yeah, he did.
Let's not do that on this show.
Can we not?
Do you know kids would play the pass out game?
No.
Do you remember that?
No.
I'm not going to explain what they do, but they purposely made themselves pass out. They would go in like
Smart.
In grade school. They'd be like, and then they'd fall over and everyone would laugh.
Is this another one of those TikTok challenges?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay.
But this was back when I was a kid.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's basically how to do a chokehold.
The original TikTok, real life.
Yeah.
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 Well, they were doing the skull breaker challenge.
Yeah, terrible.
Make someone jump and then knock. Jeez, man, these kids are nuts. But anyway, Trump sending in the troops. You see, in Oregon, as soon as the feds came in to defend federal jurisdiction,
Yep.
the federal courthouse, Trump's occupying army. That's what they said.
Yeah, this annoys me because they've been. It's always this back and forth game. They keep going with Trump. They're like, how come he's not doing anything? And he's like, I'll do something if you want me to. And they're like, how dare he try to do something at all? And he's like, okay, I'll back off. How dare he say he's going to back off? Like, and it's just like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
I hope American people can see this.
Oh, I think they can, man.
I'm
fairly certain.
Donald Trump says, I'm going to go in and we're going to clean up COVID. We got serious problems. And they're like, you have no right. You have no authority over the states. You can't tell them what to do.
Right.
You can't shut them down. Now they're like, it's all Trump's fault.
How dare he not shut all the states down? How dare he?
It's the weirdest thing that New York is the problem.
And New Jersey.
Both
of them.
Those are the big problems.
Yep.
And why are they blaming Trump for this?
Yeah, why?
He can't control what the governors did. And the governors locked down.
Right.
And then they did a bunch of other really messed up
things. And
things.
while they were doing it, they had their chins high. They said, I dare you to do something, Trump. I dare you.
And the riots,
bring
man.
it on.
You know what, man? I think
But it's all his fault.
I don't think people realize exactly where we are in terms of the dramatic escalation. I think I was watching Knowing with Nicolas Cage. We were watching Knowing.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a 20-year-old movie, so spoiler alert. The planet blows up. I don't know, there's like a solar flare. But there's a scene at the end of the movie where the solar flare hits and it shows you like an overview of New York with the fire sweeping across. You could be standing in like Battery Park at southern tip of Manhattan Island and not realize that in 1 minute, a giant wave of fire was going to blow you up.
Yeah.
And so people are standing there just doing nothing, not realizing, and then a minute later, they're gone. I think that's where we're at. I think the figurative meteor has slammed into the planet already, and the wave is now sweeping across, but people don't realize how bad it already is.
That's a good point.
I think we're really close to Donald Trump. I think we're closer to Presidential Directive 51 we've ever been to. I think there's a really good possibility come November, Trump is gonna.
Was that Bush who put that into place?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It was like I think it was in 07.
Okay.
Could be wrong, but I think we're really close to Trump enacting Presidential Directive 51, which would reform the government and create a continuity coordinator and dissolve and restructure it due to catastrophe.
I mean, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if most of the country was like, oh, finally. Seriously.
Yeah. Well, so with the threat of war, with the chaos in the streets, when I mentioned this several times, the CDC having these employees.
Yeah.
If the CDC declares racism a public health crisis, what does that mean?
I have no idea.
Are we going to get to the point where I've mentioned before, like, you must destroy your copy of the Constitution because it was made by racists and racism is killing people? You don't want to kill people, do you? Well, then you can't support racism, right?
It's funny. I was listening to a speech from Obama, and he said, if anyone has any doubts that America isn't amazing, and you can do anything, that our forefathers didn't make this happen, let there be no more doubts.
Yeah.
And it's like, that wasn't that long ago.
Right.
Like, where did that happen? What? Like, imagine if Trump said that right now. Imagine if Trump said that right now. People would flip.
Yep.
And it's like,
We had two
what's the difference? It's true.
terms of Obama.
Right.
That means people voted for Trump, voted for Obama. People that voted for Obama then went on to vote for Trump.
That's true.
But they're all racists. I look at what's going on, and I think there's a hurricane of brewing, man.
Yeah.
It's made landfall, and people are sitting there thinking, I'm just going to sit back and wait for this to all. Let's do another Shaun of the Dead reference. The zombie apocalypse is here. Yes. They're romping about. They're smashing people. They're biting and killing, and you get these people who are like, let's go to the Winchester and wait for this to all blow over. And so they go to the pub and think the zombies won't come. The zombies do come. And so I think it's substantially worse than people realize.
Yeah.
When you see, what's going on with the rioting, with COVID. Let's talk about the economy. The stocks are skyrocketing right now. So I have the only stock I have is Square. Actually, this was a funny little disclaimer we did at the beginning of the Joe Rogan podcast with Dorsey. I was like, full disclosure, I've got a small amount of Square stock because he's the CEO.
Yes.
It is doubled.
Wow.
In like 2 months. Doubled. That's insane.
Yeah,
I wonder if these are death throes. Yeah. So listen, mortgage housing payments were missed 32%. People aren't paying rent. People aren't working. Yeah, jobs are coming back and all that stuff. But I've mentioned this before, man. When the economy was just stopped by all these governors, not by Trump, the train doesn't just go boop and stop. Every car starts ramming into the next, and all that energy gets transferred, and the whole train just starts flipping over and crashing off the tracks. You can't just stop it. So the damage that's hit the tax base. It's funny. New York City says, we're going to defund the police by $1 billion. You know what I think?
They needed that money elsewhere.
They needed that money elsewhere. Bingo. Yep. The trains are collapsing.
Sure, we'll defund it because we were so broke.
And de Blasio's going, thank you. Thank you for giving me an excuse. We are in serious trouble.
Yep.
And people are fleeing. I went on a Zillow.com real estate website. In the past 30 days, New York City, 7,600 entries for real estate for sale.
Wow.
Do you know how many?
Sale.
Do you know how many? Do you know how many listings there were in the 2 months before? 5,000.
100. Oh, 5,000?
In the two.
It went. I'm sorry. Did you say 750,000?
7,600.
Oh, 7,000. Okay. So
listen.
It didn't go up that much then.
In 2 months, you had about 5,000 listings.
Yeah.
The next month, which was last month, 7,600.
Oh, that's a pretty big bump.
What happened in the last month?
That's a lot of buildings.
Tripled.
Yeah.
The amount of listings. It's not just buildings; it's condos.
Okay.
And residences.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's the collapse, man. A lot of these people probably already left. They're no longer paying taxes to the city or the state. Now they're selling their property. Good luck selling it. The prices are going to collapse. When that happens, the tax base has already been eroding. They were already in trouble. That's just New York.
You know what they're gonna rename the city New Flint.
New Flint.
Yep.
It's going to be like Detroit.
Yep.
They're not going to
Exactly.
be able to support clean water. Well, I think New York's water source is actually really clean, and they're lucky because it comes from up north in the mountains and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But New York was already hurting. Then COVID happened. Then the riots happened. The economy is in really bad shape, more than anyone realizes. Now, Trump, I believe, is obligated to be optimistic, because if he came out and said it's worse than you realize, people would panic. That would lead to more destruction.
Good point.
I think Trump's best he can do is tout the good numbers. But what does the media do? No matter what happens,
I know,
it's bad. It's like, record-breaking jobs month, and they're like, this is actually, not true because these were furloughs and Trump's just lying. It's like, can you let people have this one? Can you take the win?
Can you let the American people think that at least?
But
because who cares about Trump at this moment? Let the American people have a little bit of hope.
Confidence.
Huh? How about that?
Confidence. They can start working.
Yes,
and
exactly.
Things will recover. But I'm going to be honest, and I'm not trying to say this to be a naysayer or pessimistic.
Oh, man.
But look at...
Go ahead. Say it. Just say it. What were you going to say?
Mortgage-backed securities?
What were you going to say?
I'm saying it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. People aren't paying their mortgages.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when the mortgages go delinquent? The banks default on their the loans default.
Yep.
Then the banks default, and we get 07 again.
That's true.
So
and guess whose fault it's going to be? In the mainstream media, and guess who they're going to blame?
Well, no. I think it's COVID. I think there's nothing that could be done. It's nobody's fault. Now, we can blame the Democratic governors for a lot of things, particularly putting COVID patients in nursing homes. Mm-hmm. But now that they're demanding these ridiculous restrictions, I got to say, man, first and foremost, don't you get your health advice from your doctor and nobody else.
Period.
Nobody else. But maybe Trump is right. There was like a leaked memo where apparently Trump is saying we're going to have to learn to live with this. Like, COVID is here. We can't just stop. The economy has to function.
It's true.
And maybe he's right.
I mean, this whole thing about people being upset about masks is most people wear masks. Most people wear masks. I don't mind wearing a mask.
There are people who don't wear masks. Some high-profile
There
people,
are
too.
some people that don't wear masks. That's
High-profile
very
ones.
true. But for the most part, nobody cares about wearing a mask. We'll wear a mask if we need to.
Trump wore a mask.
People want to work again. They need to get back to work. Period.
Yep.
We need to make it happen.
But that ripple from when the meteor dropped into that water,
Yep.
that's that damage from the economy from the initial COVID lockdown.
You're right.
It's going to rip apart everything. It's going to. This is the craziest thing to me when I see these activists posting things like print money, and I'm just sitting here like
that whole thing.
Listen. Alyssa Milano, that's you saw that?
Yeah, I did.
When she was like, "We are not going back to school. We're just print money and give it to people." There's no reasoning with her rage.
Nope.
She's addicted to it.
You're right.
And that idea of just not working, sitting back and printing money leads to one thing: the end of America.
Yep.
It's not an
Absolutely.
exaggeration. It's not hyperbolic to say.
No.
If you just keep printing money and no one produces, you will have hyperinflation, and this will have a profound detrimental effect on the rest of the planet.
Hyperinflation and no products to even
Exactly.
But nothing will be worth anything.
That's why the money becomes worthless.
And what happened in Venezuela?
Yeah.
That's exactly what happened in Venezuela.
What can you do with your money? Let's say someone gave you $1 million right now. What would you do? Now, for now, you could buy a Tesla.
I'd buy a house. I'd buy a house. I'd
There's
buy
things
land.
you can do. Could you go to an infinity pool and a rooftop bar?
Probably.
No, you can't,
Why not?
because they're closed.
Ah.
They're relocking everything down.
That's a
Can't
good
do
point.
it.
The point
That's a
is
good
that
point.
these luxury items that gave the money value in the first
I'm
place.
pretty sure with $1 million I could do it though.
I'm not convinced. Because it's a lot of these people who have access to this are part of the anti-Trump, shut it all down train.
Good point.
They're going to be like, what are you, crazy? I'm not going to risk grandma's life for you. Now, I'm sure there are a bunch of rich people who know where to go and do their thing. You know what I mean? The point is, $1 million, okay, maybe over the top. If you had $100, could you go to the bar down the street, sit down, have a pint? You can't.
Nope.
So how much value does the money have if services have been erased?
It has less
It
already.
has less value.
Yeah.
So then when someone says, I'll give you $100, you can go, I can't even do anything with $100.
Yep.
What am I going to do? Buy a bag of potatoes? Okay, how about $200? I guess I can get 2 bags of potatoes.
Right.
Fine, I'll take $200. The less the dollar can do, the less value it has. It's as simple as basic understanding of reality. If you had a machine that could drive, it could be a boat, a car, or a plane, that's a valuable machine.
Yep.
especially if it's very safe. That's got to be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. You know,
Yep.
look at a regular car versus a Tesla. The more versatile, the more it can do, the more valuable it is.
That's a good point.
U.S. dollar works the same way.
Yep.
If you can't buy anything with it, what were we trying to order? Skateboards?
Yep.
A specific skateboard sold out.
Sold out.
Can't get them.
Yep.
So what? It's like if someone came to me and said, you know, obviously you need money for food, but there was a point I made before. What if you have food? What if you work at a market, you have a bunch of excess food you can't get rid of because business has been slowed down,
Yep.
and someone comes and says, I'll give you $100 to do, you know, a thing. You're gonna be like, I got food. I don't know what I would do with it. Everything's shut down. I don't drive anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'll take it. Money's money.
Yeah.
At a certain point, if we lose, so right now people still have confidence in the dollar, so the dollar will have value. But what happens they're saying it's going to be another 9 or 12 months of lockdown. What happens in a year of continued lockdown, and then it gets to the point where people start losing confidence and they say, I mean, I could take your dollars, but I can't really do anything with them. So,
I don't
do you
understand,
have anything
'cause
else?
looking at the death rates, the whole, now no one's talking about the death rates at all. It's like non-existent. No one's talking about it because
They're really low.
no one's dying anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it exists, but it's like the one story, like, wow, so this one person died today of COVID, and it's like, that's it? One person? Like,
But the cases
isn't that
are on the
fantastic?
rise.
Yeah, because people can have it because it's like a regular coronavirus. Like, the term coronavirus has been weaponized now.
Yeah.
It's craziness.
I think we're in trouble. And it almost feels like there are people who are so dumb, they don't realize you have the choice between people are going to get sick and they're going to die,
Yep.
and Trump, or lock everyone in their homes
And everyone will die worse.
and just strip everyone's
Significantly.
resources away and just
Wither,
What do you-
wither
what do
and
you-
die.
what do you do about a person like Alyssa Milano who doesn't realize it's like, imagine you found somebody who was like, you know, blind, deaf, and dumb, and you just, and they're just like totally incapable, and you just put their finger on a trigger for a nuclear bomb. That you can't reason with them. They don't know. They're gonna go just not knowing what the. Alyssa Milano's got tons of followers. She has no idea what she's talking about, but she's angry. And she's firing off 50 cows in random directions. Just print money. And it's like, you're destroying everything.
Yep.
Stop. No, because Orange Man is bad.
Yep.
That's what's going to happen. All these people on Twitter. You know what, man? It's like, if I was targeting a foreign country, working for a military or whatever, you could not ask for a more perfect outcome.
It's true.
To destabilize and destroy your enemy.
You're absolutely right.
Having a bunch of people demand the government do nonsensical things that destroy their own country, and they're doing it.
That's
And there's
where
no
we're at.
reasoning with them because they're addicted to anger.
You're absolutely right.
How do we pull out of this tailspin?
I'm trying to figure the answer.
Presidential Directive 51.
Day. Every single day, I try to figure it out. Thomas Sowell is an economist. I watch try to do a new interview every single day that I didn't watch before. He's an incredibly smart man that everyone needs to go listen to.
I think we're close to the point where we end up with hardcore authoritarianism from the right.
Yeah, but knowing, I mean, I've been diving into Trump lately, and I know the type of person he is. I don't think that he wants that. I agree. I think he believes in the American life, the American freedom, the American way, the dream of being an American.
I think both sides are at a point where there's no reconciliation.
Good point.
And both are going to demand of their own faction. The only way to save our country is to violently purge the other side.
It's a shame.
The conversations I've had with people, I'm sure the conversations you've had, when you see children disowning their parents disowning their children or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, how do we get past that? I think November is going to be a hoot, to say the least.
I think so too, man.
Maybe.
I think it's going to be, I mean,
I got to learn how to ride a horse.
Not only November, I think going from this point to November, it's just going to get crazier and crazier.
Yeah, dude.
This has been the craziest year of my life, hands down.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everyone can say
Yeah.
Everyone.
that. Most people can say that.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. We do the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. If you want to catch the full show, tune in to this channel, subscribe, hit the like button, or check us out on iTunes and Spotify, and we will soon have this podcast up for free on all podcast platforms. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all in the next episode.